Great day for some big four analysis, looking at XRP, Solana, Ethereum, and Bitcoin, not necessarily in that order for today. And we're going to be going over, again, the higher term time frame look, especially as we do close out both the weekly and the monthly not so far ahead, which is, well, positioned to give off some pretty powerful signals, I expect, and continue with this very, very long thread of analysis that we've been having on these higher term time frames for these crypto assets. Anyways, we'll start it off with Solana right here. Obviously, last week, or the week before this one, which is last week, was a massive pump dildo week. But you can see that Solana actually did not close on any new significant highs, and thus far this current week has just been consolidation around the highs, which is a good sign overall. You can see that the weekly Solana is still trading above that red moving average. So my rule is that as long as that is secure, or that is true, I would be favoring overall upside. But as we go into our drawing tools here, or sorry, not our drawing tools, but our indicators, we can see the weekly stochastic oscillator will actually turn back up freshly, giving the bulls renewed momentum if Solana does close above 224 and a quarter again on Sunday. So I'm actually recording this on Thursday of this week. I'm going to be traveling during this time, so we'll see where things end up. I suspect that Solana very likely will be above 224, but crazier things have happened, obviously, than a nearly 10% dump off in a few days. But I would still be keeping the ball in the Bulaw's court here. Keep in mind, it is, however, just one massive trading range as far as the weekly does go. Highs around 260, let's just call it 265, lows around 175. But the Bitcoin bulls, no, the Solana bulls do really have a chance to actually break to the upside here. Again, assuming that this week closes above 224 and change, and essentially just doesn't come back down below this week's low for the close. Of course, the monthly as well is going to be closing relatively soon, and just over a week now. And Solana bulls will have a chance to actually put in one massive bullish engulfing dildo, assuming that Solana can actually close above 247. So, first we'd expect the weekly momentum pivot to be met by Sunday. Again, needs to close above there. And then the focus will really shift towards the monthly look, because if the monthly does close above last month's high, which is 247, you will have a bullish engulfing. Plus, you'll see monthly momentum flip back onto the upside as long as Solana is actually pretty much above the same pivot on the weekly, which is 223, 224 region. So that would give me a major bias towards new all-time highs and massive breakouts and continuations coming into February. Still targets for Solana, probably around $400, give or take a little bit from that number overall, with potential obviously for more too. Now moving on, and of course that also does imply that if Solana fails these momentum pivots, I'm not necessarily like full on bearish on it, but similar to Bitcoin, I think they could very easily come back down to the bottom side of the range. Probably looking at one of the major fibs here if that does indeed occur. So that would give us an area of interest somewhere around like 195 to 215 or so, somewhere around there. All right, sweet. Moving on to XRP here. XRP, funnily enough, one of the strongest. After being beat up for so long, we are seeing that the weekly is going to actually shift momentum back onto the upside, again, pending Sunday's closure, which must close above 265. It is well above that pivot as of right now, more than 10%. But again, 10% dump over the course of a few days is nothing for Bitcoin. It's nothing for XRP especially. So, again, keep your eyes on that pivot. Of course, anything above this green line right here, just making things as simple and as straightforward as possible. Anything above 272 is fine. Just consolidation. It could easily afford a reconnect with that red moving average, which would imply, perhaps a wick somewhere down around there. But don't want to see any closures below there. Otherwise, kind of risks the same thing as Solana with a move closer to the range lows. So that would give us an area of interest, around $2 perhaps. But until that happens, momentum flipping flipping back onto the upside here. Again, renewed momentum does bode well for, in this case, XRP making new all-time highs. The monthly, again, is going to be a big focus. Of course, this one is pivoted much much more nicely than I would say Solana, even though Solana is still pretty good in that regard. But the monthly will actually continue to see momentum to the upside as long as XRP is above $1.50, which, it's well above. So I think that that's very likely going to be fulfilled. Again, assuming that is fulfilled, I do expect we'll at least see one new high in February. And for something like XRP, I mean, that could easily come above $4. I think 420 would be a good meme number, maybe even as much as $5, assuming that these closures are confirmed above the levels that we've spoken about. But again, below 272, that big fucking warning flag. I would even say that's probably enough for me. But 272 or 265, I guess, is the momentum pivot here. But I suspect that if you're below 272, the 265 is just 1 week away from failing anyways, if that does happen. So yeah, bulls continue to have the ball in their court. Again, as long as that condition is met, similar to Solana. And if you've been watching the videos this week, which I actually just got done recording the one for this for Thursday, it's the same thing. It's like, okay, I'm going to be bullish as long as Bitcoin's above 103, but if it starts to lose there on higher term time frame closures, this is not in any position of power to break out right now. You need a Hail Mary from Trump to sign some sort of executive order to make the Green Dildo Party once again resume. Anyways, looking at Ethereum, certainly continues to be the weakest out of all of them. Surprise, fucking surprise, right? Now, this past week, this really does look like Ethereum wants to put in a low here. It really does. But goddamn, it's fucking Ethereum. It's like Ethereum is becoming the laughing stock of this market, I guess. This week, I really would have expected Ethereum to actually confirm a local low here and trade back above about 3,400. It has failed to close above 3,400 in any meaningful manner, or not even anywhere close, to be honest. And right now, I'm recording this on Thursday, but we can see that if the daily closes below 32.45, which is trading below right now, momentum turns back onto the downside freshly. And, personally, I'd have to be looking for another move back down to the bottom side of the range already, maybe another wick down around about $3,000. But of course, the big thing for Ethereum is not the daily nor the weekly. It's the monthly here. What keeps Bulaw's hopes alive coming into February for, I wouldn't necessarily say new all-time highs, but a new high on this, on this current rally would be Ethereum closing above 3,000. So again, that's a line in the sand. Below 3,000, I don't think that there's any more excuses to be made for this thing. I think you're going to see, a move probably closer to at least 2,400, maybe even lower than that. But again, like I said, I just want to outlay the conditions that would make me really change my opinions here, because timing wise and cycle wise, I still do think that February has a pretty good probability to be a nice month. In fact, February is one of the best months for Bitcoin, just in case you didn't know. So we'll see. Anyways, moving on from there, we can get into actually the topic, the Bitcoins. Here is the weekly for CME. So this does not close on Sunday. This closes on Friday, but it could give us, a bit of an insight as to what's going on. And if Bitcoin does close below the median here on the weekly time frame, which is just below 105, I would look at that as a signal that Bitcoin's going to come back down closer to the bottom side of the range here, maybe put in a wicks, at least down around the 38.2 level, I suspect, which right now, and this can change obviously upon the new open, but right now it's $94,000. So that just implies that Bitcoin comes back down to the bottom side of the range or close to it. Of course, if you are going off a spot price action, we can do the same thing for the HPDR. However, I don't think it's going to be closing above this one this week. In fact, the weekly HPDR has been a nearly perfect rejection, right around $109,000 price per Bitcoin. So this actually might be telling in and of itself. Now, again, I'm recording this video on Thursday, so who knows what the fuck happens between now and Sunday. But assuming that it closes something like this, something resembling a rejection, and it also fails the Friday pivot for CME, well, yeah, I'd be looking at that as an actionable signal that this thing is going to come back down at least $95,000, and maybe even all the way down to 90 to 92. Very possible there. So I'd keep an open mind with this, because if Bitcoin is going to be bullish, if the crypto market is going to be bullish, we really don't expect like, and when I say bullish, I mean like threatening new highs on a lot of these rallies, or especially for Bitcoin. We do expect that, you know, the pivots that we spoke about in this video are going to be fulfilled. If they're not, you're going to hear me change around my tune like very fucking fast. I'm not calling like a bear market or nothing like that, but you know, prolonged consolidation and yeah, you know, that can be like another 10% down for Bitcoin or so, which translates to probably a bigger percentage move for most altcoins. Just something to be aware of. So I'll leave on that note, or actually I'll leave on this note right here. I'm very curious to see where the tether dominance chart, the tether dominance chart closes on Sunday as well. If it does close above the median on the weekly HPDR, which is 397, which right now it's about 0.04% away from. If it does close above there, I'm looking at this as a very likely signal that it's putting on a low here. And if this is putting on a low, that has typically worked inversely versus, you know, Bitcoin and the rest of the cryptocurrency market. So just be aware of that because, you know, this could also be another confirming signal, a confirming factor. And if it does close below 397, then that would be a really good signal that, you know, we're going to see at least another week try to the downside, which probably produces upside price action, you know, for most of this market. But right now, I do think it's a time to be a little bit more defensive, just because we're on the precipice of a lot of these major pivots here, although they have not been met just yet. If they are met, especially on this weekly's closure, or, you know, God forbid the monthly closure, you know, that's going to change around my projections for the next few months. At least the next 2 months. So anyways, I'll end things on that note. As always, want to wish you the best. Like I said, I'm recording this video early, so who knows what the fuck happens by that time. I guess we'll see. But the pivots will be the pivots because those are all based off the weekly anyway. So we'll end it on that note. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow.